Breaking news straight out of the courtroom. And trust us, you are not ready for this one. Rap icon Lil Durk, known for his stone-cold lyrics and unshakable demeanor, was seen wiping tears from his eyes today as the judge delivered the shocking verdict he never saw coming. Cameras weren't allowed inside, but eyewitnesses say the entire room went dead silent when the gavel hit, and then all hell broke loose. We're talking emotional breakdowns, explosive outbursts, and whispers of betrayal from inside his own circle. That's right. Some say the man who stood by Durk through thick and thin just flipped the script when it mattered most. The streets are buzzing, fans are devastated, and even rival rappers are posting cryptic tweets like, "Damn, never thought I'd see the day." Was Lil Durk really blindsided by someone he called family? Why did his team look so nervous before the hearing? And most importantly, what did the judge say that had one of hip-hop's hardest names fighting back tears in open court? Stay locked in, because this story has twists, secrets, and a betrayal so deep it might just shake the entire industry. Let's get into it. The scene outside the courthouse was straight out of a movie. Fans were lined up along the barricades, media cameras flashing and rumors flying like wild bullets through the air. Everyone was waiting on one thing: Lil Durk's court appearance. The energy was electric but heavy, like everyone knew something big was about to go down. Whispers in the crowd spoke of secret deals, leaked audio, and even a mystery witness nobody expected. And when Durk finally stepped out of the black SUV, rocking an all-black fit and dark shades hiding his eyes, the silence hit like a punch. No smile, no nods, just tension. And behind him, his crew looked even more shook than he did. Inside the courtroom, you could cut the tension with a knife. Durk sat at the defense table, his lawyer whispering something in his ear, while the prosecution laid out papers like they were ready to drop bombs. The judge walked in, expression cold, no nonsense. And that's when the drama started to unfold. The prosecutor stood up and said, "Your Honor, new evidence has come to light that changes the nature of this entire case." Gasps rippled through the room. Durk's lawyer looked blindsided. "Hand Durk." He sat still, jaw clenched, but his fingers tapping the table betrayed that he was nervous as hell. The judge nodded slowly, like they already knew something big was coming. Then the prosecutor pulled out a flash drive. "We have an audio recording," he said, "from someone inside Mr. Banks' inner circle." The room froze. Inner circle. Fans and reporters exchanged glances. Wasn't just a legal case. Now it was about loyalty, betrayal, and the kind of secrets that could destroy careers. The judge gave a go-ahead, and the courtroom speakers came to life. A voice crackled through the speakers. It was low, tense, and unmistakable. "I'm not talking about falling for this. He told me what to do. Durk planned it. He said, 'Handle it.' And I did." You could hear people gasp. Someone even dropped their phone. Durk's head slowly turned to look at his team behind him. One face in particular stood out. His longtime associate, someone fans had seen by his side for years, wouldn't meet his gaze. He just looked down at the floor. That was the moment Durk knew somebody had flipped. Court was adjourned for a recess, but the drama didn't stop there. Outside the courtroom, chaos erupted. Fans were crying, others were yelling at reporters, and bloggers were already live streaming with titles like "Durk, betrayed by man." "And is this the end of F?" Durk screamed. "They lied on him. He isn't due." Not then, but the damage had already been done. The streets were... It exploded back inside during the second session. The judge announced they would be setting a release date for Durk, but not the one fans were hoping for. See, wasn't a celebration. This was a sentencing release date, and as the judge read the potential years Durk could be facing, the air was sucked out of the room. 23 years. That number echoed. Even the stenographer paused for a second. Durk, who had been calm this whole time, suddenly leaned forward, elbows on the table, and dropped his head into his hands. It was quick, but then a single tear rolled down his cheek. That tear, That was the moment fans would never forget. This was Durk, one of the hardest, most respected names in the game, breaking down in front of the world. Numbered lyrics, no music videos, no tough persona, just a man facing the reality that he might lose everything. His mum, seated behind him, reached out and called his name. Durku, soft, shaky. The courtroom guards didn't stop her. Maybe they understood. Maybe everyone did. And that's when it really hit. This wasn't just a rap story anymore. This was family, was survival. And something about the way she said his name had the room holding their breath. Durk didn't look back, but his shoulders shook slightly. The man was crying quietly in the middle of court as court wrapped. Up for the day, the judge ordered Durk back into custody until the final decision. No bail, no special treatment. He was escorted out in cuffs. And as he walked past the media, head low, someone shouted, "Yo, Durk, they really got you like that." He didn't respond, just got into the van and disappeared behind the tinted glass. But what came next sent shockwaves through the entire industry. That night, a video surfaced online. Grainy, shaky, but clear enough. It showed a heated argument between two ATF members in a back alley just hours before the court hearing. One of them was screaming, "I'm not going down for that man. He left me hanging." The other was trying to calm him down, saying, "Bro, not here. Not like this." They watched things together. Who was that voice in the audio? Was this the same guy in the alley? And more importantly, what did Durk do that made someone so close turn into a witness for the prosecution? Rumors were flying that the state had offered a deal to walk free in exchange for information. And if that was true, then someone in Durk's team had sold him out to save themselves. It wasn't just betrayal, it was survival of the fittest. And Durk might have been the sacrifice. The next morning, social media erupted again. Big names like Meek Mill, 21 Savage, and even Drake posted cryptic messages. "Watch who you call fam," one read. Another just said loyalty over everything. Fans immediately linked the posts to Durk's situation, and by mid-afternoon, the Suck Friot Durk was trending #1 worldwide. And while the public raged, another video dropped. This one from Durk's baby mama, who went live on Instagram, visibly emotional, saying, "Y'all don't even know the half of it. That man has been protecting people who wouldn't do the same for him. I told him weren't real." She stopped herself mid-sentence, wiping tears, then whispered, "They set him up. It was always going to end like this." The internet went wild. Blogs, channels, and even mainstream media started digging deeper. Who was the mystery witness? What was on that audio? And most chilling of all, what if wasn't the first time someone close to Lil Durk had turned their back on him? As the questions multiplied, part 2 of this shocking courtroom drama was already brewing behind the scenes. And just when fans thought they'd heard it all, another unexpected twist was about to explode in front of the entire world. As the sun rose over Chicago the next day, the world was still buzzing with the emotional weight of what went down in court. Memes, fan theories, and hot takes dominated social media. Durk's silent breakdown, the betrayal. The audio of everything was now a massive cloud hanging over not just his career, but his entire legacy. And just when people thought the drama had peaked, things took another wild turn. Word leaked that the court had subpoenaed another person from F to appear in the next hearing. And this time, it was someone no one expected. It was none other than Bobby Lil Z Carter, Durk's day one homie. Fans when Zay took a charge for Durk back in 2017. So, when his name popped up on court records, people lost their minds. Nah, not Zay. One fan tweeted, "If he's talking, then it's over." And the drama wasn't just unfolding online. Word from inside. Sources said that Durk was furious when he found out. Apparently, according to someone close to the camp, Durk was pacing in his holding cell, punching the wall and asking over and over, "Why Zay? Why would they pull Zay in?" The trust he once had in everyone around him was evaporating, and for good reason. Meanwhile, Lil Z had gone ghost, deleted socials, No word from him or his people. But reporters outside his mother's house spotted activity, cars coming and going, security posted at the gate, and intense energy in the air. Was Zay in hiding, or was he prepping to take the stand? Then on the second day of court, Zay showed up, fresh cut, designer fit. But his face said it all. He looked haunted, not the confident Zay fans remembered. This was a man carrying secrets. As he walked past the media, someone shouted, "Yo, are you really testifying?" "Mr. Carter," the prosecutor started. "You were present on the night of the alleged incident." Zay nodded slowly. "Yeah. Can you describe what you saw?" Zay paused. His lips parted and then closed again. He glanced at Durk. The room held its breath, and then he spoke. "I saw ... I saw everything." "But it isn't like they say." Everyone stiffened. Durk didn't order anything. He was trying to stop it. "We were heated. Yeah, things got wild, but he wasn't behind it." The prosecutor looked, thrown off. Wasn't what they expected. "Mr. Carter, are you aware that your statement contradicts a previously submitted audio recording?" Zay swallowed hard. "That voice on the audio, that isn't me." Gasps. Even the judge raised an eyebrow. "We verified the voice print." "No disrespect, Your Honor," Z interrupted. "But those files aren't real. Somebody edited that clip." And just like that, the case took a whole new twist. The courtroom was chaos. Durk looked stunned. His lawyer leaned over, whispering furiously. The prosecutor asked for a recess. Outside, fans were going crazy. Headlines flooded in. Witness recants. Was evidence fabricated? Zay breaks silence, but backstage, there was another twist. Nobody saw coming. A close friend of Durk's, Marie, the cousin who screamed outside the courtroom, earlier posted something cryptic on her story. A black screen with the words, "Check the footage. They edited it. We got proof." Within minutes, the internet exploded. Fans and sleuths started digging, comparing old interviews, pitch patterns, and timestamps. The theory started to form. The audio played in court might have been doctored. Meanwhile, Zay was now facing. By nightfall, reports surfaced that he was under investigation for perjury. People were calling him a liar, saying he changed his story out of fear. Others said he was protecting Durk because of blood ties deeper than music. But in the middle of all this, one new voice entered the chat. It shook everything. At KEISH, A Durkax and the mother of his oldest child went live. Emotional, raw, and clearly upset. She said, "They don't want me to talk, but I'm done staying quiet. Durk has been moving differently lately. Trust is gone. And that voice, on that audio, I heard that convo myself. I know exactly who said it, Tanned. It isn't who you'll think." Her comments sparked a wildfire. Fans started guessing. Was it someone even closer than Zay? Someone who had access to both Durk's trust and his inner world. The next morning, bloggers dropped a bombshell. A second audio clip had leaked, and this one was clear. It wasn't a shady, low-quality recording. The meat was crisp, and it came with video. In the clip, a man was seen in a private studio room pacing, saying, "He has to go down. I'm not talking about the heat anymore. Let Durk be the fall guy. I got kids to raise." The voice was familiar. It was Ace Durk's road manager, the guy behind all the tour setups, the man who fans always said moved in silence. He wasn't flashy, barely posted, but he was always right beside Durk. And now the streets were saying he was the snake all along. Durk's lawyer responded almost immediately, filing a motion to have the original audio thrown out as manipulated. Evidence. Suddenly, the case wasn't just falling apart, it was exploding. And with that motion, the judge agreed to delay the release date decision. But Durk wasn't celebrating. Back in his cell, sources say he was quiet and detached. He told one of the guards, "Even if I walk out of here, I'm never going to be the same, because this wasn't just a legal battle anymore. It was personal. Everyone he thought he could trust had shown their true colors. The family was divided. Fans were torn. Some believed Zay saved him. Others thought Carr was stirring the pot. And now Asa, the man behind the scenes, was at the center of it all. And as part 2 came to a dramatic end, the question on everyone's mind wasn't if Durk would get out, but who else would go down before was all over. Because the truth was still unraveling by the time court resumed for day 3. It wasn't just fans watching anymore. It was the whole industry. Labels, lawyers, artists, and even rival crews were tuned in. Something about this case had grown bigger than Durk. It was about the system, the streets, and the thin line between loyalty and survival. And as Lil Durk entered the courtroom again, head slightly bowed but jaw tight, people could tell he wasn't broken. He was focused, but behind that focus was rage, betrayal, grief, and most of all, questions. The first bombshell dropped just minutes into the session. Durk's defense attorney stood up, file in hand, and requested permission to submit new evidence into the record. The judge raised an eyebrow, but allowed it, and that's when the lawyer pulled out a USB. "Your Honor," he said, "we have obtained full-length security footage from the studio session on the night in question. The original audio clip submitted by the prosecution was edited heavily. The room held its breath. The prosecution objected immediately, accusing the defense of manipulating evidence to protect their client. But the judge allowed the video to be played, and what the courtroom saw next flipped the narrative on its head in the full-length footage. Ace, the tour manager, was seen pacing, angry, throwing his phone on the couch. Another man out of frame could be heard whispering, "They're gone, pin it on him. Let him take the hit. You stay clean." Ace responded, "He doesn't even know half the stuff I've been moving. If I go down, he's definitely going down." And then came the words everyone remembered from the original audio. But now they were clearly from someone else. "He told me what to do. Durk planned it. He said, handle it. And I did." But here's the catch. That voice, it didn't belong to Ace, and it definitely didn't belong to Z. It belonged to a third person, someone who hadn't even been mentioned in court yet. Malik Brown, a minor name to the public, but not to Durk. He was a former F affiliate turned rival. He'd been ousted years ago after a rumored internal beef and had since gone quiet until now. Turns out Malik had been working behind the scenes with the prosecution. They needed a voice, a story, and a villain, and Malik gave it to them. And suddenly the courtroom turned into a frenzy. The judge called for order as the prosecution scrambled to recover. Durk sat motionless, staring at the screen. But behind his stillness was fire. His lawyer leaned in and whispered, "We just cracked. Their whole case open. Woo." The fans outside the courthouse erupted. Malik Riot and What Neverfold started trending within the hour, and on the blogs, receipts started pouring in. Old tweets, deleted photos, and even DMs allegedly showing Malik bragging about making a comeback off somebody else's name, and just like that, the betrayal became deeper. It wasn't just about someone turning on Durk, it was about someone building a case against him for clout. But even as the truth came out, it didn't mean Durk was in the clear. See, Malik's story might have been falling apart, but there was still enough smoke around the original incident to keep the case alive, and that meant the judge still had a decision to make. Meanwhile, Ace disappeared, literally vanished, skipped a scheduled deposition. His phone was off. No one knew where he was. Some said he was on the run. Others whispered he'd been handled by people who didn't want more Durk coming out. And then another twist. Zay was arrested. Yes, you read that right. Lil Z. The day one homie who had just gone on the stand to defend Durk was taken into custody on unrelated charges, or so they claimed. Word on the street was it was pressure. The system is trying to shake him, make him, change his story. But the arrest just made things messier. Fans were furious. Durk's family was devastated. And behind bars, Zay was reportedly refusing to speak to anyone. Meanwhile, Durk's ex Kisha dropped another bomb on Instagram Live. She said, "Y'all are acting like he's innocent. But let me tell you, Durk knew what was happening around him. Maybe he hasn't pulled the trigger, but he hasn't stopped it either. And he was protecting people who aren't worth protecting. And that one sentence, that one line, had fans spiraling. Wanted. I thought I was protecting myself, but now I see I just became another pawn. I don't want to him like that. I owe him everything. Please tell him I'm sorry. No signature, no name, but the handwriting matched Ace's old tour notes. And now, the story had gone full circle. Ace, the silent operator, the man in the background, the one who was supposed to protect everything, might have been the reason it all fell apart. And as part 3 closed, with the world still reeling from the twists, lies, and betrayals, there was only one thing left on everyone's mind. Was it too late to save Lil Durk? Or was this the final move before the empire either crumbled or came back stronger than ever? The city was on edge. Fans had gathered outside the courthouse before sunrise. Chicago hadn't felt this tense since the feds raided KF's old block. Everyone knew that today, day 4, was going to be the climax. Oh, the energy wasn't just anxious. It was electric. Like everyone could feel something major was about to happen. And they were right. Inside the courtroom, the air was thick. Media packed the benches. Even a few fellow rappers showed up in disguise, sitting quietly in the back row, hoping to witness the outcome firsthand. Lil Durk walked in wearing the same calm expression that had covered a storm for days. But this time he looked different. Not scared, not even just ready. His lawyer stood tall. Your Honor, before you make any final decision regarding the release date or sentencing, we have one more piece of evidence to submit. The judge nodded, likely expecting another delay tactic. But this wasn't a delay. This was the bomb. A live testimony via Zoom, call from none other than Ace. Yes, it had resurfaced. Nobody knew where he was calling from. His face was half in shadow, his voice cracked, like a man who'd seen too much and knew his days of hiding were numbered. I know what I did, he started, voice trembling slightly. I lied to save myself. I said things that painted Durk as the mastermind when in reality, he didn't even know the full situation. It was me. I made the moves. Ty kept things from him. The courtroom was dead silent. I thought if I gave them what they wanted, they'd let me walk. He continued, but they kept coming. Wanted more lies, more dirt. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't breathe. So, this is me. Setting. It's straight. The judge leaned forward. Are you saying under oath that Lil Durk, Derek Banks, was not the instigator? Not even close, Ace said. He tried to shut it down, told me we were moving recklessly. Didn't listen. And now I have blood on my hands. A collective exhale rolled through the courtroom. The prosecutor looked defeated. Durk just stared at the screen. No anger, no hate. Just silence. Maybe he felt vindicated. Maybe he felt nothing. Maybe ... It was both. The judge took a moment, flipping through pages on the bench, and then she spoke. In light of this new testimony, the court will re-evaluate Mr. Banks' level of involvement and culpability. Release date decisions will be delayed until further review. But given the shifting evidence, Mr. Banks is hereby granted conditional release, pending final review. The crowd exploded. Fans screamed. His mum broke into tears. Durk stood slightly, stunned as the bailiff unlocked his cuffs. He was walking out, not a free man. Not yet, but freer than he'd been in months. And the reaction outside was pure mayhem. Fans chanted his name. The Lil Durk is free again and hit #1 in 10 countries. The city celebrated like their hometown hero just beat a murder charge. And in a way, he had. But even as he left that courthouse, the story was far from over. Because with freedom came fire. Within 48 hours of his release, Durk dropped a surprise track. No promo, no warning. Just a black screen with white letters. This is for the ones who switched the song to brutal. He didn't name names, but the message was clear. Bars, like you, tried to trade their loyalty for leverage. Now look who got the leverage, and I cried in court, but I bled in silence, set the internet on fire and dissected every line hunting for clues. Was he talking about Ace C. Kesha? The line that really hit though. Even when they lied, I stayed solid. I'm not pointing any fingers. I just waited on God, and that told everyone Durk hadn't forgotten. He hadn't forgiven. He was just getting started. Meanwhile, fallout began across the board. Dude turned himself in 2 days after the testimony. Some said he feared for his life. Others believed he wanted to make peace before the streets made a decision for him. Either way, he was now under federal protection. Facing charges, Malik disappeared. Nobody's seen him since the second audio clip dropped. Rumors say he fled the state. Others believe he's laying low, fearing retaliation from both legal sides and the streets. Zay was released too, cleared of the unrelated charges. Once it became clear they were just a scare tactic, Durk reportedly reached out to him. What was said during that combo, nobody knows. But insiders claim Z told one person, "We were brothers. I'm still down, but it's up to him now." Kesha kept her distance. She posted a cryptic quote. A week later, truth always comes back around, and sometimes it hurts the ones you love. Fans had mixed feelings. Some saw her as a truth teller, others blamed her for feeding into the chaos. But Durk, he stayed locked in. Interviews started pouring in, offers from every major platform. He turned most of them down. When one journalist asked him outside his studio what he had to say to fans, he simply said, "Thank you. Y'all held me down when I was down bad. Now it's my turn." And then came the final twist. Durk filed legal action against the state for wrongful accusation and emotional damages. His team claimed the use of fabricated evidence and coercion of witnesses put his entire life and family at risk. The case is still pending. But word on the street was that Durk wasn't just coming back. He was coming back to win. And quietly, behind the headlines, something else happened. A reconciliation. Durk was seen. 2 weeks later, meeting with Zay in a private park. No cameras, no chains, no security. Just two men who'd been through war, trying to figure out what loyalty meant after hell. Someone who saw them said they didn't argue, didn't yell, and just talked. And when they parted ways, Durk gave Zay a dap and a hug. Maybe that's closure. Maybe it's just a start. But for now, the empire was still standing, cracked, bruised, and scarred. But standing, and as the sun set on the wildest, most dramatic courtroom saga hip-hop had seen in years, fans were left with one truth. Lil Durk had his freedom, but he came out of it with a new hunger, a new fire, and a new story that was only just beginning. Because if Part 4 taught us anything neat, it's that the streets will test your name. Your circle will test your soul, and only the real ones survive when the smoke clears. And Lil Durk, he survived. So now the dust has finally started to settle. ... Hey, but the scars are still fresh, the trust is still broken, and the streets, they're still whispering. Lil Durk Mito walked out of that courtroom. But the drama he survived is something that'll follow him any tip-top for a long, long time. From emotional breakdowns to shocking betrayals, from twisted evidence to courtroom bombshells, wasn't just a legal case. This was a full-blown saga. It's one that revealed the darkest corners of fame, loyalty, and what happens when the people closest to you choose survival over silence. The fans are still divided. Some believe Durk should cut off everyone and rebuild from scratch. Others think there's still more to the story, that not every snake has shown its fangs yet. And what about Ace's confession? Was it too little, too late? Was his apology real, or just another play for sympathy? And let's not forget Malik is still missing. Will he ever resurface? Will Durk's lawsuit against the state actually go through? And most importantly, will this entire situation make Durk stronger, or leave